This is the program that addresses issues concerning you as a Nigerian.
To interact with them.
But what happens afterwards?
I don't know what is delaying the deployment.
That is your role that you have to play.
Investigate each case.
I'd like to hear from some more people.
Talk your own. We the people.
My name is Stanley Stephen. I was just one certain time arrested because of mistaken identity. And they were looking for a person bearing Stephen. So in the process of going around to get that Stephen, they also came across me to see if I were the Stephen they were looking for. But it was unfortunate. I was not the one, but the people involved in the matter pointed at me that I was the one. So the police arrested me and kept me for 3 weeks and 5 days in their custody, after which they took me to magistrate court, and the magistrate court remanded us in the prison. The matter took 4 years before I left the prison.
All across Nigeria, some are seeking justice, some are awaiting justice. But in both cases, there are those who say the justice system in Nigeria is not fast enough. It took you like 13 times to try to get bail.
Exactly.
Before you came out?
Before I came out of prison. The first bail I attempted, the first day I went there, nothing was done about my matter. It's just that just to identify myself in the court, and I was taken back to prison. And I stayed for the case. The matter was adjourned to 3 months. Then I was taken to prison again. I kept on going, fighting for bail. To me, I felt it's a matter that is supposed to take at least a week or a month for me to come out of there. I didn't expect that such an innocent person like me will be delayed for justice for 4 years imprisonment before I see myself outside, where I lost almost everything I had.
Is the justice system in Nigeria slow? What is the way forward? This will be the focus of our discussion as the people gather in Lagos State to discuss with Okechukwu.
All right, welcome to this part of the program where the people get to sit down face to face to discuss issues that concern them. My name is Okechukwu Efodu, and today we are in Lagos State. On the panel, starting from my immediate right, we have Mr. Jide Martins, who is the Assistant DPP, the Assistant Director of Public Prosecution of the Lagos State Ministry of Justice. Next to him is Mrs. Jumai Fagbure, the Assistant Chief Legal Aid Officer of the Nigerian Legal Aid Council. And at the extreme, we have an activist, Mr. Chude Achike. You all are welcome to the program today. And of course, we cannot have the talk without the people. Lagosians are here, and in our audience, we have people who would also be contributing to this very important discussion. You all are very welcome to talk your own with the people. Now, according to the Nigerian Prison Service, about 72% of the people within its cells are still awaiting trial. At the Kirikiri prison here in Lagos State, with over 2,000 male inmates, only 124 have been convicted. So, let's get into this. And I guess a great way to start is by asking you, Mr. Chude Achike, do you think it's worth talking about, the Nigerian criminal justice system?
Exceedingly so, and simply, because of the fact that the ordering of the society, the proper functioning of the society is dependent on the rule of law, and so it is very critical that all of those things that make for the effective delivery of a proper criminal justice system is looked after, and that we have a proactive reaction to things that concern, the criminal justice system. it is very critical.
Okay. Mrs. Jumai, you are the Assistant Chief Legal Aid Officer of the Nigerian Legal Aid Council. How would you describe the criminal justice system of this country? Is it slow? Is it fast? Is it efficient?
I bet you, out of the 2,000 people you're finding in that Kirikiri prison, you can hardly get about 1,800 who can actually pay their legal fees. So legal representation is one of the issues that slow down the pace of justice in Nigeria. Because when there is no lawyer to represent a particular accused person, the judge is bound to adjourn such matter because he cannot function as a judge and still come back and function as a lawyer. So that is one factor that slows down our judiciary system.
What other factors are there that slows down the judicial system?
If we were to talk about other factors, there are so many, but I want to start with the major one. The major one starts from the police force. And why I will say so? Because they are the first point of call of when a crime takes place. So now a person finds himself in the police station and he cannot even obtain bail easily as should be. Therefore, before you know it, some minor issues that even the police, through thorough investigation, should be able to dispense with, they immediately charge to court.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jide Martins, you are the Assistant Director of Public Prosecution, Lagos State Ministry of Justice. Is there anything like a slow criminal justice system?
I think it will be slow from the perspective of the members of the public who don't understand the processes and procedures involved. When you go to prison, trying to locate inmates is very difficult because there's no effective biometric system through which you can locate them. And some prisoners, they are under the illusion that if I remain in prison for a number of years without coming for trial, I will be released.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
At this point, let's hear from our audience. Earlier on, Mr. Jide, your Director of Public Prosecution, has said that from the public perspective, the Nigerian criminal justice system might seem slow. But from an insider angle, there are other factors responsible for that. Let me hear from you as audience, as Lagosians, as Nigerians. What has been your experience with the Nigerian criminal justice system?
In 2011, I was defrauded by a man who came to present himself like a media rep. And it started from the normal police report, go to the police station, you report. And this guy was detained and transferred from one prison to another, eventually to Ikoyi prisons. And it was awaiting trial for like 2 years. No, we don't think. We know it's slow.
The problem of the slow criminal judicial system in Nigeria is largely due to corruption in every facet of life that we go through. So that is the basis, that is the foundation for every problem we are passing through. Because right from the investigation of crime by the police, going to the court, at every point there are tendencies for corrupt practices that is jeopardizing the whole process.
Okay, so let me ask the general audience, and we'll do this by a show of hands. We'll do yes or no. If you think, I'll start with the first question, with show of hands. If you think the criminal justice system in Nigeria is fast and okay, let me see your hand up. No, nobody. Even from our panelists, anybody? Okay, so if you think the criminal justice system in Nigeria is slow, can we see show of hands? Everybody, okay. Now let me go to the panel and I'll ask you, Mr. Chude Achike, how critical is our Nigerian police force and our prison service in the criminal justice system?
You cannot have an effective criminal justice system without involving these two agencies. The Nigerian police force is critical, is the first stop. The laws really in this country, to a very large extent, are meant for the hoi polloi, the downtrodden. the Talakawas, those people who do not have any form of influence. And that is why, for instance, you talk about political crimes in this country, which are very heinous. Somebody steals a phone, a handset. Somebody stole a handset, I think, of a governor and was sentenced to about 30 years in prison. Somebody steals 200 billion naira, and of course you know that the healthcare system is undermined by that and so many other things in the country.
So you're saying the law does not favor the poor?
No. The law would seem to be skewed heavily against the poor.
Juma, you are the one representing the poor. You seek to provide legal services for the indigent.
Yes.
Who are the people responsible to ensure that people who need access to criminal justice get them? Who and whose duty is that?
Actually, the government is generally responsible for such. Now, when you bring it back home, in Lagos State government majorly becomes responsible for doing this.
But the Legal Aid Council,
at the general level,
Legal Aid Council is a government institution.
No, federal government establishment.
Federal government establishment, but you're in all 36 states.
Yes, general. Now, but when you bring it back to like Lagos State, you say the Lagos State government now, the DPP actually play a role. And this is the major role.
Let's leave the DPP. I want to ask you as Legal Aid Council.
It is very important.
What have you done?
Linking to Legal
Let me just ask you
Council.
this. What have you done as Legal Aid Council? Because you're the
That's
one
what
who's...
I'm going to. I'm taking you there, if you allow me. Why I say this is that when we come in and take up a matter, now we have matters which are tried by the Court of Summary Jurisdiction, which is the magistrate court. But now there are crimes that cannot be tried by these courts, like murder, like maybe rape, like even armed robbery and so on. You see, these such issues have to await what we call, the DPP advice.
So you have to get...
Now, where we get stuck is that the court now adjourns the matter for DPP advice, and when it's adjourning such matter, he adjourns it for a month. Now, within that month, you come back and expect a DPP advice, and it's not there.
As the Nigerian Legal Aid Council, you exist in all 36 states.
Yes.
You provide legal services and legal advice to people who cannot afford them, the poor people.
Yes.
About how many people have you guys helped
if
so
it
far?
comes to statistics of people, if I want to use like Lagos, in a year, we represent more than 30,000 people. And when I say more than 30,000 people, this is because sometimes we are even overchoked with work.
Some people might see it and say 72% still awaiting trial might look like maybe the Nigerian Legal Aid Council is not doing their job or what?
Well, they will need to have the understanding now that those 72 people, if you go there, you won't see the same names. You will actually see some names are gone, but just as they are going, we are having a replacement.
But let me move back to the audience. Let's hear from your experience. You can give the lady in front.
There's an incident that I had about that someone was killed, and they weren't very, very sure of the person that actually killed the person that died. So it was someone else that actually they went to meet, and then they arrested the person, an innocent soul, which is not meant to be. So actually they are supposed to make out their investigations due to what happened, not arresting someone else and then...
So we need more diligent investigation.
Sure.
Okay, let's give the young man just slightly behind you.
My first intervention will be that I think Section 36 of the Constitution, which talks about the right to fair trial, stipulates as well that people who may not want legal representation can go to court and stand for themselves. I think that we can look forward to a time when we expand the mandate of the Legal Aid Council to ensure deepen the enlightenment, whereby Nigerians can go to court and be able, because it begins from when you go to the police. There was a time my former employer's office was boggled. I went to the police station to make a statement. I had to pay for the policeman to follow me to the scene of the crime. I had to pay, for him to follow me to where the money to carry out investigations. If I didn't have the money, it meant that the process of justice would have been stalled ab initio.
If it was so possible, I would have said that the judicial system should be privatized. Because trust me, anything that is privatized, it becomes more efficient. Can we have complete digitization of the police system, and the judiciary. You see this analog and slow way of investigation then to the court of law that has been stalling judgment over the years from the police stations. Let's have everything that will aid investigation.
Okay, you're still watching Talk Your Own with the people. We'll be right back.
Talk your own.
Talk your own.
Talk your own. Talk your own.
Talk your own.
Talk your own.
All right, welcome back. This is Talk Your Own, We the People, and we're right here in Lagos State discussing the criminal justice system in Nigeria. All right, let's explore solutions now. What is the way forward?
I think the solution has to come with all the stakeholders in the administration of criminal justice. The DPP has a role to play. But the problem we have is that you cannot do anything unless you get the file from the police. So if somebody has facilitated the police to make sure that the file doesn't get to you on time, there isn't anything we can do about. Also, you're as good as the level of or the quality of the investigation when you are in court. If the investigation is not soundproof or is poor, then the case is going to be very difficult to prove. But at the stage of the police, I think the police needs to up their game in terms of relying on forensic and modern method of policing, so that when you have forensic evidence, it makes the case very easy. That is one part of how the police can improve the system as well. In terms of our end as well, we try to track how long it gets us to issue a legal advice upon the receipt of the file from the police. We can improve on that as well. Definitely, it ranges between 4 to 5 weeks, which, just like what Juma have said, it isn't too tight. We can improve of that, and I have to be sincere with you that we can improve that, and we are making concerted effort to improve on it by having now a specialist unit of the ministry in the directorate that deals with legal advice. All those lawyers don't go to court. They only issue legal advice. And the reason why we've done that is to ensure that they spend more time in issuing of the legal advice. And there has been remarkable improvement in the time, but it can always be improved. The judiciary too can assist the system by making sure that the cases get assigned quickly, and also to cut down the number of adjournment.
Okay, so even though earlier on the audience all said the criminal justice system is slow, yes, and we're right here in Lagos.
Yes.
Lagos has been hailed as one of the justice systems that is moving quite fast.
Yes.
In 2011, they produced the Administration of Criminal Justice Law.
Yeah.
And I know under your ministry, you have a division, like you said, for public defenders. You have a human rights directorate, yes, with 7 units,
yes,
like citizens' rights, you talk about consumer protections rights. How was Lagos State able to achieve this improvement?
I think what happened was that we were very lucky that the vice president used to be the attorney general in Lagos State under the previous government, and he initiated all these changes by having Office of Public Defender established, by having Citizens' Rights and Mediation Center established. But subsequent government has embarked and improved on that. The present government of Akinwumi Ambode recently contributed about 4.5 billion in procuring equipment, vehicles, ammunition and helicopter from the police. That's a very important role in terms of helping the police to improve their game, in terms of fastening the process of investigation.
Okay. If you have a case now and you bring it to court, or you have a case, whatever case it is, civil, criminal, what time frame do you think is enough from start to finish?
4 months, 6 months is okay to resolve any issue in
okay.
court.
Let's give the lady behind. So
At worst, 6 months.
6 months, okay.
4 months is okay.
Okay, all right. Let's go back to you, our panel. Achike, you've heard our audience. They've said 4 months, 6 months should be okay from when they lodge a complaint to when they get a resolve. And most people say justice delayed is justice denied. As a human rights activist, tell me, what time frame do you think is suitable for us to aim at?
Yeah, I want to believe that if you look at, I think on the average, that most cases, and of course we know from what we have been told from data or statistics that the average, completion rate of a case in Nigeria is about 5.9 years, 5 years and about 9 months. Now that is reprehensible. And of course there's a truism, a dictum that justice delayed is justice denied. So one would expect that if all things are equal, I mean, we've heard the constraints from the deputy DPP and Madam here. I would expect that a proper criminal justice system should be able to dispense with less complex matters in a space of 3 to 5 months.
Okay, Mr. Jide Martins, I'll ask you this before I move to Mrs. Jumai. Is this achievable? 3-4 months from when the person lodges a complaint to when they receive justice?
I think just like what Mr. Ashike said, the variables is a major determining factor, because if you have witnesses that cannot be traced, then it's going to take some time to trace the witness, and that is outside of the control of the prosecuting agency.
But this thing happens in other places. In other jurisdictions, people can get justice within 2 months, 3-4 months.
I mean,
is it achievable?
Yes, I think they are straightforward, minor offenses, not the most complex, difficult one. Organized crime, yes, it's achievable. But if it's organized crime where you don't want to rush to court because there are other big fishes out there who are yet to be apprehended, then it might take longer time for the police to finish the investigation to get the file sent to us. But I think 3 months to 6 months for pretty straightforward matter, it sounds reasonable.
But I'm curious to know, what is the average time frame from your experience does a case?
I think the constraints to that question is that the variable that is outside the prosecution authority would be the defendant's rights to appeal a decision.
What's the longest case you've handled? For how long did it go for?
I think probably from the stage that the file comes in to when the matter goes to the Supreme Court, it can take about 5 years. It does take that long because the defendant has got the right to appeal to the Court of Appeal and also got the right to go to the Supreme Court.
Okay, so Mrs. Jumai, finally, what dangers does a slow criminal justice system pose to society?
A very, very big one, because when the system is very slow, it means that injustice takes place. It means that so many people are in jail languishing, and it's scary to think that out of maybe 10 people, 9 might be innocent. And we have a popular saying in law that it's better for 9 people who are guilty to be set free than 1 innocent person to remain in jail.
Talk your own. Talk your own. Talk your own. Following some concerns raised about the role of the Nigerian police in our criminal justice system, we took these concerns and sat with the first public relations officer, ACP Don Awuna. Our own Afyong Basi started by asking him, what is the role of the police in our criminal justice system?
The police is the bedrock of criminal justice system, the administration of justice. From the perspective of arrest, investigation, and prosecution.
So would you say that the police are responsible, as in they are very effective in discharging these responsibilities you mentioned?
From our own perspective, you see, people in most cases, people have misconception. When you talk about criminal justice system, all they know is police. But it's a tripod: prisons, judiciary, and the police. And from the police perspective, we're doing our best. We're making arrests, we're conducting detailed and discreet investigation. Of course, we're part and parcel of prosecution. Criminal cases, it must be emphasized, criminal cases.
Well, earlier on this program, some people said that the police contribute greatly to the trend of awaiting trials in Nigeria.
Depending on who is talking. Don't forget the police.
I don't understand what you mean by depending on who's talking.
You see, there's misconceptions. People sometimes act on ignorance, not knowing how it works.
But is it not the police duty to correct this misconception?
No, it is police. This is what we are doing now. We are trying to correct that misrepresentation and misconception. But like I said, we must see it holistically. The prison system, the judiciary, even the witnesses, are they coming forth?
But what do you think could help Nigerian police to make investigations faster and then prosecution of suspects to be quicker?
Yes, once all other sectors that involve in criminal justice are developed in personnel, in logistics, in infrastructure, We must all understand that this is a national goal. We must all understand that we are working together as officers in the temple of justice. So the police, the prison, the judiciary, even the Ministry of Justice, we must all come together to ensure that the criminal justice system is what the Nigerian people deserve.
All right, thank you very much, Deputy Commissioner of Police Don Awuna.
You're welcome.
And that's all from my end. Okechukwu, back to you.
That's it for today on Talk Your Own, We the People. And this edition was recorded in Lagos State. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Talk your own. Talk your own. Talk your own.
Thanks for watching. Continue to talk your own online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Remember, for government to work, get involved. No sit down look. See you next week for another edition of
Talk Your Own, We the People.
Talk Your Own has been made with funding from the UK Department for International